Conservatives understand what a movie is trying to tell you challenge. Level impossible. You thought the Christians were triggered before. Well, one of the triggered Christians is back again to tell us every sexual reference in Turning Red. All right, let's find out.
This morning I watched Turning Red and I took about 4 pages of notes of all the positive and negative things that I saw in the movie. And in this video, I'm going to tell you and list off for you all the different sexual references that I saw in the movie. So if you're watching Turning Red, you should know that this whole storyline is about a 13-year-old.
We know what the story's about.
An inner red high emotions that come up.
We know.
She's like a red panda. There's a couple references. You know, the mother thinks that she's having a period and she tells her daughter, you know, things like you got to protect your delicate petals and clean them regularly, asking if this red flower had bloomed or, you know, things like that. Probably the most inappropriate thing in the film about sexuality, in my opinion, is the scene of Mei hiding under her bed and drawing pictures of boys not wearing clothing or like not wearing a shirt. And while she's drawing...
Oh no, guys, can we go back? Okay, trigger warning again. More pornography. Seriously? This is the sexual reference? Not wearing clothing? A hug? Okay, bro.
Under her bed and drawing pictures of boys not wearing clothing or like not wearing a shirt. And while she's drawing it, you can see she's panting, she's breathing heavily, she's sweating, and she's just feverishly drawing these pictures of boys. Now that...
Yes, you know, sometimes 13-year-olds have crushes, and they draw pictures of boys that they like. Yes, believe it or not, my friend, that is something that actually happens in day-to-day life. How is her sweating because she has a crush the big sexual reference? What? Again, it's like these people are in denial of the fact that 13-year-olds start going through puberty and they start having hormones and start kind of discovering who they are attracted to. They're sort of discovering their own sexuality. That is a very real part of growing up, dude.
That's a really weird scene to watch, and it's definitely not a scene I'd be comfortable watching with my children. Also, throughout the film, you'll hear multiple references to like...
He's the guy making it like hypersexual, by the way. Did you realize that? This dude is the one making it hypersexual.
Like the lyrics of a popular song where they say, they don't turn my tummy like you do, and I'll never not be your ride. So you can, you know, use your judgment as to whether or not those are sexual references, but it does...
No, how is saying turn my tummy? That's like, I have butterflies in my stomach. Is that sexual? And also, they didn't say never ride. Why are you purposely saying it like that? I'll never not be your ride or die. Okay, conservatives learn what words mean. Challenge impossible. Let's see, ride or die. What is it? What's the Urban Dictionary, you know? Urban Dictionary, when you are willing to do anything for someone you love or someone you really appreciate in your life. Why did he say, and I'll never not ride you? When in reality, they're like, I'll never not be your ride or die. Is this for real? Did this guy ever go through puberty? Or was he just born like a full-grown man? Did God just create him as a grown man like he did Adam? What?
Your ride. So you can, you know, use your judgment as to whether or not those are sexual references, but it does seem like they're talking about sexual attraction when they're talking about, you know, their tummy turning when they see each other. So Mei hangs out with a...
Wait, what do you think having a crush is? It's where you start to experience a, like, I actually wouldn't say it's like a sexual attraction as much as it's like you like this person and you don't really like them as a friend. You really like them. Like they give you butterflies in your stomach. You want to be around that person. They excite you in a whole different way. This is part of growing up and discovering your sexuality. It's not like, oh, I have a crush, so I want to go do some fucking raw dog. Come on, man. Holy shit. This is actually desperate.
A few of her girlfriends regularly, in fact, kind of lied to their parents, and they lied to them repeatedly to kind of raise money to go to a boys' concert. And so one of the friends of Mei says, my parents called this music stripper music. And then she's like, what's wrong with that? Like, what's wrong with stripper music? In another part of the movie, Mei...
How? Yeah, mine called it stripper music. They're talking about how strict their parents are. I don't think this guy has any clue, like, what... Does he know what, like, kids talk about in school? Because I'm pretty sure it's a hell of a lot worse than saying... My mom called it stripper music. You can't even say anything of this. It's just you're interpreting everything in the most like explicit sexual way. It's actually this dude who's like really sexual minded. Get your mind out of the gutter, bro.
What's wrong with that? Like, what's wrong with stripper music? In another part of the movie, Mei Mei is trying to daydream about a boy he doesn't have a shirt. He's like a mermaid boy, in order to make her panda come alive. In another section of the video,
guys, no, animated male nipples. Cover your eyes, children. Did you ever watch the Little Mermaid movie? Do you think mermaids should wear a shirt? Why was he not in a two-piece bathing suit? Or a one-piece bathing suit, for that matter?
To make her panda come alive. In another section of the video, you've got Mei Mei and her 3 girlfriends sitting on bleachers in a stadium looking at boys who are exercising, playing sports, and they're commenting on their features. Like one comment, it's kind of funny because like, I think she said like delts for days, like deltoids for days. Anyway, it's just kind of a funny comment, but I mean, they're remarking on the physical features and they're checking the boys out. And they're kind of showing and reinforcing this idea that it's okay to check out people of the opposite gender and comment on their physical features. And I don't know.
Okay, this is literally just this guy needs to know what a fucking crush means. Are you married? I assume you are if you have kids. Did you ever have a crush on your wife and check her out and find her attractive before you got married? There's a point here, a very small one, which is objectifying people isn't really great. But when people act like looks don't matter, I'm sorry, but sometimes they kind of do. Like people a lot of the times will say like, no, personality matters more. That's true. Personality goes further than looks. But the looks are oftentimes what sparks the initial attraction that leads you to talk to the person, and you then discover their personality. 13-year-old girls tend to find boys attractive sometimes. Talking about guys exercising, saying that they're kind of attractive, I just feel like this is such a minor thing. I'm not in favor of obviously like catcalling or objectifying people, but to make this like a sexual reference, ooh, then no, you're taking this way too far, bruh.
About you, but I think that's highly disrespectful. This movie, though, seems to normalize that behavior. There's one part of the movie where Mei and her friends are at this big birthday party that they're throwing. Now, she had kind of made amends with, her grandma or her mom, and she kind of decided in her mind that, I'm not going to become a panda anymore. It's going to hurt my family too much. It's too dangerous. They told me not to. So she goes in this party dressed up in a costume, and they're not buying it. They want her to actually turn into a panda. And then after about a minute, she decides to turn into a panda and give in to her natural self. And she says something along the lines of, doing this once won't hurt. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really like the idea of reinforcing the message in my kids' minds that like doing something bad once won't hurt. Whether that's sexual or whether that's...
What? How does he have like a little teeny grain of truth as far as like the objectifying and catcalling thing, and then say, doing something bad once won't hurt? I don't want my kids learning this. I almost feel like I don't even need to add commentary here. I can just sit here and play this video for you, and the jokes just write themselves.
Drugs or anything else, I don't like that concept of morality that, just once more won't hurt anyone. I think that's a very dangerous message. Probably the climatic scene.
Yeah, some things like, doing heroin one time won't hurt, lol. That's probably not a great message, but turning into the panda one more time won't hurt. How do you strip it from all context? She's not saying, well, if you do something bad just once, it's not a big deal. She was saying turning into the panda one more time probably won't hurt. Conservatives, please, can you just try to understand media just a little bit?
Won't hurt anyone. I think that's a very dangerous message. Probably the climatic scene of the entire film is when the father is talking to his daughter Mei, and the father is portrayed as probably the nicest, most, respected kind of character. He's so respectful to his wife and to his daughter and his mother-in-law. And he says to Mei, people have all sorts of sides to them, Mei, and some sides are messy. The point isn't to push the bad stuff away, it's to make room for it. The kind of climatic message, in my opinion, of the entire movie is this idea of not trying to overcome or control these, negative urges that you might have, but to make room for them in your life and to live with them.
What negative urges? Again, we've already gone over this, but this was parallel to the stigma around girls going through puberty and having periods and whatnot. And there are absolutely elements of your life where you might have something that you deem wrong or stigmatized, like having a period, that rather than trying to suppress it and push it away, which is psychologically damaging, you need to accept the reality of your situation. How is that so hard for you to understand? Do you think that the message the dad was saying is like, hey, I know that you really have a strong desire to go hump a tree. I get it, okay? But you shouldn't push that away. You just gotta embrace who you want to be, dude. Do you think that's what the dad was saying? I can't fathom having this level of fragility.
And like, to me, that just, that sounds very twisted and highly, highly dangerous message to send to children. I mean, it basically sounds like you're trying to give children a license to do anything they feel the urge to do, you know, sexually or otherwise. There's a part of the film where the mother...
What? The time where the dad had that conversation with her had nothing to do with anything sexual. You showed the dialogue. She literally says, "But I'm a monster." She's upset about the fact that she's turning into a red panda. Conservatives understand what a movie is trying to tell you challenge. Level impossible.
My opinion of the entire movie is this idea of not trying to overcome or control these, you know, negative urges that you might have, but to make room for them in your life and to live with them. And like, to me, that just, that sounds very twisted and highly, highly dangerous message to send to children. I mean, it basically sounds like you're trying...
Bro, look at this guy's face, okay? You look highly dangerous for children, okay?
To give children a license to do anything they feel the urge to do, you know, sexually or otherwise. There's a part of the film where the mother and the daughter are having an epic battle. And during this epic confrontation between mother and daughter...
How much... Oh, wait, I'm gonna call it. He's gonna bring up the fact that she shakes her butt.
Mei says, "I like boys, you know, I like loud music, I like gyrating." From my count, there was 4 times in Turning Red where they had kind of close-ups of a bottom shaking or some sort of gyration. Probably the most suggestive dancing that I saw was when there was a boy in like the high school or the middle school who was making fun of Mei and like pretending to kiss and like do very suggestive actions. Toward the end of the movie...
What? This guy has no grasp on like what 13, 14, 15-year-olds talk about at school. Are you this illiterate, my friend? Okay, he's definitely not going to have his kids going to public school, right? His kids are going to be homeschooled like in the barn.
You have the mother who says something that to me is very startling. She's talking about the inner beast inside of Mei, and she's saying, "Don't hold back for anyone, you know, including herself. And that the farther you go, the prouder I'll be. So the more you pursue this inner beast that you have and give into it, and the farther that takes you, the more proud I'm going to be." And then the very last quote of Turning Red is of Mei narrating the following. She says, "We've all..."
Wait, hold on. Before we get to the narration, what's wrong with what the mom is saying? Again, I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself because conservatives and Christians seem to stick to the identical script with every single goddamn complaint they levy towards any kind of movie ever. The mom wasn't referring to, "If you are doing drugs, honey, you just keep on shooting that heroin up and I'll keep loving you, and the more drugs you do, the prouder I'll be, lol." Clearly that's not what she meant. She meant accept who you are, embrace who you want to be, and I'll still be proud of you. I know that this is really hard for like Christian parents to understand, the fact that like their children have autonomy and might not turn into be like an identical carbon copy of themselves, but still. Come on, bro. Can you at least like try to look at this with even an ounce of nuance?
Is of Mei narrating the following. She says, "We've all got an inner beast, and a lot of us never let it out. But I did. How about you?" So you're being invited...
Because it wasn't actually an inner beast. It's a parallel to her period. She's saying it's okay to embrace who you are in like adolescence as a young girl. And it's okay to just embrace that rather than trying to suppress it. This guy's about to make me release my inner beast, though.
You. So you're being invited all throughout this film to consider, what kind of inner beast do I have? What kind of urges do I have? What kind of passions do I feel that aren't accepted by my traditions? And how can I explore those? How can I express them? How can I let them out? Now,
because some of the passions you might have might be different from tradition. Believe it or not, but forcing your kids to abide by some traditional standard just because it's what made you happy, and if they don't, then it makes your tummy hurt, isn't actually very good parenting.
I feel like that's a super dangerous message. So obviously there's quite a few sexual undertones, you know, to the urges and things expressed in this film. They're not...
What? They're not talking about sexual urges. They're talking about her going through adolescence. Oh, God.
A lot of things being explicitly shown. For the most part, all the characters are super duper modest, except for, you know, the boys that are being drawn without shirts. But the characters look very modest. They don't really have revealing clothes on. I just wanted to make you aware as a parent what kind of sexual references are made in Turning Red, so you can take that into consideration.
What do the comments say on this? This is just one of the many problems our culture has let out rampant into our children and adult lives. No child should ever be exposed to sexual interactions, but be told by the parent how to deal with it. Pray for our nation. We have fallen to the point where people don't want to know the difference between right and wrong anymore. Amen, Karen. I'm glad that you watched a Pixar movie. Let's pray you don't have daughters, because if you do, I feel bad for them. All aspects of what you explain in your video are completely normal for girls going through puberty. Periods and good hygiene is something you have to teach young girls. Also, during the time girls will start experiencing sexual attraction. There's nothing wrong with any of this. Actually, that's a very good point, and it's indicative of the fact that this parent is the issue here. This guy is the type of parent that the movie was making fun of. That girls go through puberty. Girls start to have attractions towards boys. Girls start to discover their sexuality around that time in their life. And rather than suppressing it and trying to push it down, you have to be able to accept the reality so you can better deal with those things. You are the parent that would say, suppress it, push it down, don't talk about it, shh, I don't want to hear about it, okay? This guy needs to listen to Let It Go by Frozen, because he's literally the conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. And then here's another one. Oh, he's got another one, guys. 10 dishonest behaviors in Turning
This
Red.
morning I watched Turning Red, and I took copious notes throughout the entire film. And I have a list here of lying or dishonest behavior
Copious notes? No, more like you watched the movie and you were just coping.
that's being portrayed in the film Turning Red. So I want to share it with you so you can make a decision as to whether or not this is something appropriate that you should watch with your children. So right at the beginning of the film, this girl, May, who's 13 years old and just entering into puberty, she tries to hide away from her mom by going under her bed, and she's feverishly drawing boys without shirts. So I mean, that's not a lie per se, but she was trying to like hide and keep things hidden from her mother and her father. There's multiple
Okay, so why was she trying to keep things hidden from her mom and her dad? Because her parents were super strict, and when they found out, it totally fucked her over. The mom embarrassed May or whatever. So dishonesty isn't great, okay? But a couple things. One, kids are allowed to have some privacy, okay? If your kid is keeping a diary or something, they should be able to have some privacy. Second of all, why was she so desperate to hide things from her parents? Because they were too strict.
multiple messages of the film that are reinforcing this idea that it's okay to do bad things. That's the messaging. And it's not okay to do bad things. It's not okay to lie. It's not okay to give into inappropriate...
It's not okay to film your video like this. It's not okay to film without a tripod, dude. It's also apparently not okay for you to be within 100 yards of a school.
Urges. It's not okay to react in anger to people. Those are things that you need to control. Self-control is a good thing. And then the very last quote of the movie is Mei saying, "We've all got an inner beast," and a lot
Alright, so it's basically just the same thing again, but this time him tallying how many times there was lies. Again, like, if you wanted to even have any nuance here, you could be like, okay, lying is bad, yes, but why were the kids so set on lying? Because their parents were overbearing, really restrictive, and wouldn't let them have any freedom. So, again, you shouldn't lie to your parents, but the parents should also try to act in a way that makes their child more comfortable being honest with them. You see the crucial crux there? You see how it's not just, kids, honor your father and mother. That is what the 10 Commandments said. God carved this in a literal stone, and you must follow it, or you shall surely die. Instead, it's, hey, I'm a parent. I want my kid to be honest. What can I do as a parent to make it so that my child feels safe being honest with me? I don't want my kids hiding things from me, but if you fly off the handle anytime your kid tells you anything that you don't like, they're more likely to be dishonest. Let's find out what his Luca review was.
Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to explain to you some harmful subliminal messages that are found in the movie Luca on Disney+. Now, I watched this last night with my family for the first time, and I'm presenting it from the perspective of a very conservative Christian father. Before I get into the bad...
You didn't need to tell us that, dude. We could tell from your skull shape. Second of all good media has a level of subliminal messaging. That's like part of what good media does. The question is not, are they subliminal messages? The question is, are they bad or good subliminal messages? Just to be clear.
I've noticed in some Disney movies recently that they are showing acceptance and normalization of dishonesty, of lying, especially lying to your parents. That bothers me to have my children watching a video where they're showing the protagonist as a liar, where anytime it's inconvenient to tell the truth, they lie. And if they get away with it, that's a good thing. And from my perspective, that's definitely not a good thing. I think there's 2 times in the movie...
Yeah, guys, this new thing that Disney's been doing, showing kids lying. Because that's never been depicted on TV before.
When Luca 2 or 3 times when he lies to his parents, and there's a lot of times when he runs away from his parents and avoids them. So anyway, that's one negative message that you'll see in the movie. Now, another theme that you see in Luca is this idea of his parents and the older people in his community being very mean, controlling, and just kind of uneducated. I'm sure people have had mean parents.
So he's lying to the parents because they're really unaccepting and uneducated and restrictive. Is this why you're offended, buddy? You feel like it was kind of pointing at your own flaws?
Who are controlling and uneducated and are kind of oblivious to certain truths about life and science. I think that is a harmful subliminal message to teach children that their parents are mean, controlling, and uneducated. And that's definitely not the case in a lot of instances. I know that
It's not the case, you see, that us parents are all uneducated and over-restrictive and overbearing or anything. This isn't the case. But anyway, my kids will not be allowed to watch any more Disney movies because sometimes they depict people lying. That doesn't line up with the Ten Commandments. What would God and Moses think?
As a parent, I try not to be mean or controlling, and I try to be educated, and I say things that I know, and I don't say things that I don't know. So I think that's a dangerous message. Luca also has a very anti-religious feeling undertone of the movie. If you've seen Smallfoot,
There's the key word there, anti-religious feeling.
there's a very anti-religious, where it kind of paints this idea of the religious people making up a myth just to keep the people under their control. And
Yeah, no wonder you take offense to that, because that's actually what a lot of religious people do, believe it or not. They make up religious bullshit to keep people under their control. Yes. Man, I gotta watch Abominable Snowman or whatever. I didn't even know that movie came out, but now I really want to watch it. Thanks for the positive review, buddy.
And now, while that might be the case in some religions, I can tell you I 100% believe that is not the case in my faith, believing in God and his son Jesus Christ. And so it bothers me when they present people who are kind of religious and traditional and have traditional values as being mean, as being crazy, as being closed-minded. And you see that kind of betrayal of the parents and the uncle that comes to visit.
It's so funny that he's like, I really don't like this depiction, while he is literally fitting that character. He's fitting all of the fucking stereotypes that he's complaining about right now.
The uncle, I don't know what they're thinking, but, they kind of seem to portray him as kind of this wise elder. He's the uncle of the family, and they brought him in to show the child the light. He's trying to escape from his community and have his mind open to the bigger, broader, better world. And, the uncle comes in, and he's acting kind of like what you might expect an experienced religious leader would be, coming in to help a wayward youth or something. But they make him look so creepy and crazy and dark. And, and he wants to drag him down to the deepest abyss where there's just darkness and no light. And so there's lots of symbolism. I just feel like it's a little twisted and wrong.
Isn't that like twisted that this guy isn't actually the wise one, or he's not actually educated? Because instead he wants to bring Luca down to the abyss and the darkness? Do you think maybe they depicted him as being crazy because the dude is supposed to be crazy here? Are you okay right now? Did you watch the movie? Take off your God glasses, okay? And just try to watch an animated film.
I think another harmful subliminal message of Luca is the idea that the wrongdoers are the ones who are truly enlightened, the rule breakers are the ones that have the most freedom and happiness, and that's just not the case. I mean, from my experience, that is not the case. There are people in my life who are rule followers in a traditional sense, traditional values, and those are the ones with families intact, those are the ones with a lot of love, peace, purpose in their life. I know people who are rule breakers, where they're disobedient, where they run away from home, where they break commandments or break laws or get into drugs or immorality, and they suffer from addiction that takes over their life. They have an obsession about their self and seeking pleasure.
This is such a bad way to argue, because then you could just flip it over and be like, well, I know plenty of people that are in families that are super miserable and unhappy, and I know a bunch of people that broke the traditional rules and are now living very happy, fulfilled lives. Like, all you have to do is flip that anecdote on its head, and then his entire argument is destroyed.
Harmful, not only for themselves, but for those around them. And it just overall is very negative and degrading. And I feel like in a lot of Disney movies, not just Disney, but a lot of movies in our day, there's a lot of messages about self-exploration and, doing anything in the name of finding your truth, your happiness, your pleasure. And that this idea that right and wrong is relative, that there's moral relativism, that, lying's wrong in some instances, but it's right in some instances. And that's just not true. There is right and there is wrong. Stealing is wrong, killing is wrong, lying is wrong. There's so many good messages.
Amen, dude. So far, that's a really solid point from this guy. Killing is bad. Amen, brother. If these chumps aren't even able to interpret a fucking G-rated kids movie, then how the hell do you expect these people to accurately interpret the Bible?
Like, the idea that you can do whatever you want, whatever feels right to you, whatever feels good, doesn't matter. It's all relative as long as...
What? I watched Luca, and there were all kinds of issues, and there was conflict with him trying to pursue the life that he wanted and the life that his parents wanted him to have. He even betrayed his friend in the end. Like, you realize that movies need conflict to reach, like, a good climactic ending? And that's how the plot works? There has to be conflict there? Do you just want it to be like the mom, like, no, honey, do not go to the surface of the ocean. And he's like, okay, mom, I will obey you because that is what Jesus said. Roll credits?
And his friends just saying, you're listening to a voice in your head. It's a Bruno. You just need to tell your little Bruno in your head, silencio, Bruno, silencio, Bruno, like, silence, silence. You need to silence that voice in your head. While there are voices in our head that are negative, that hold us back from achieving our potential, that make us fear things that are good, there are also good voices in our head that we should not silence and overrule. For example, the voice of the Holy Ghost.
Okay, yeah, this is why we hear that funny joke that says, if you're talking to God, then you're praying, but if God talks back, you're schizophrenic. Okay, clearly he was not saying ignore your conscience. He was saying don't let the fear get the best of you.
But by the same token, I've got little kids, and I have seen that they model behavior they see. And even if it's the bad guy doing the bad behavior, they often model it. And so, people calling each other stupid, they actually had the protagonist say that. It was kind of an accident. They did it a little bit innocently, but, saying like a bad word in Spanish and then getting smacked over the head by a purse. Our kids pick up on that stuff. Like, what goes in...
So the kid hears the word stupid, and then they said a bad word in Spanish. Ah, yes, I do not want my child to watch this movie. They might learn a swear word in Spanish. You see, my child can barely speak coherent long sentences in English, but they might start saying a bad word in Spanish. I bet this guy's favorite movie or favorite series is just like VeggieTales. Or no, you know what? VeggieTales probably wouldn't be acceptable to him because the Bible stories aren't accurate enough.
Inside their head comes back out. It usually comes out multiple times. At the most unexpected times, they'll start saying what they heard in the movie and doing what they saw in the movie. The bully punching someone in the face, or pushing someone on the ground, or trying to kill someone. I understand that.
Wait, don't you read the Bible to your children? What about when God literally murdered all the firstborn sons in Egypt? Don't let your kids read the Bible, okay? They might start stoning adulterers.
That makes the plot more exciting, but I do think there's got to be a way to make an interesting movie without modeling bad behavior. I mean, I've seen a few Disney Junior videos that do a great job. They have exciting plot lines.
Okay, if you want to watch Disney Junior, that is your prerogative, but you're a grown man, dude. It's called Disney Junior, not Disney Christian Channel.
Don't involve people modeling bad behavior. Where instead of having conflict relationally with a good guy and a bad guy, they have it with their situation that they're in. If you think I'm a little crazy by saying that the film has an anti-religious feel, and I think it's pretty obvious for any adult who watches the film that it's...
I think you're crazy for a multitude of reasons, and again, you're basing all of this on a feeling. It makes you feel uncomfortable, so you think it's bad.
And as part of the race, they eat a bowl of pasta, and then they put the pasta strainer bowl on their head as a helmet, and then they race off with that, and that's what protects their head, right? Their helmet is the pasta bowl. And I just think it's interesting because there's a movement, like a church called the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster or something like that, and the adherents of this faith are called pastafarians, where they're basically mocking religion. They figure, well, if people can, worship God,
what?
My pasta flying monster.
This is bizarre. He is literally reaching for anything he possibly can. So are all movies where they eat pasta now anti-God? This is not real. This guy's trolling me. This guy is okay. This guy is a government experiment sent to drive me insane. This cannot be real. You thought the fact that they had wasn't it in Italy? Wasn't there an Italian aspect to this? Well, you heard it, guys. I surely hope this guy will never feed his children spaghetti ever again. Because that is clearly sending a subliminal message that you worship the god of the spaghetti monster. I can't with these people. This has got to be a joke.
And on personal gain, and not so much on sacrifice, love, kindness, devotion, service. And I'd like to see more of that kind of messaging in the movies. I'd like to see less of this kind of new world of, personal self-pleasure, self-enlightenment.
All right. Yeah, okay, we're done. This guy, I cannot actually believe that he thought that Luca was subliminally demonic or signaling to the spaghetti monster. Okay. Yep. Again, I never understand why these people are okay reading the Bible to their kids, where there's all kinds of super harmful messaging, like God calling his people to war, God killing people, God mentally abusing Abraham. But then when the dude puts a strainer on his head as a helmet in Italy, this is actually referencing some kind of evil demonic force. I can't, dude. I can't do it. Okay. Yep. Christians, stop being fucking delusional challenge. Level impossible. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.